One, two, three.
We could not believe that a black man had got on a white radio station in Cleveland, Ohio. So a bunch of us got together ground and thanked this dude.
In the world of music, few figures are as enigmatic and captivating as Screamin Jay Hawkins. Known for his theatrical performances and the hit song, I Put a Spell on You, Hawkins left behind a legacy shrouded in mystery and wild tales. Among the most astonishing of these tales was the claim that he fathered 57 children. This staggering number became a subject of fascination and disbelief, sparking a quest to uncover the truth. As the story unfolds, we delve into the layers of Hawkins' life, from his rise to fame to the complex web of relationships that marked his journey. Herein lies a narrative of brilliance, chaos, and the enduring impact of a man who defied convention at every turn. This is the story of Jay Hawkins. Screamin. Jay Hawkins' journey to fame was as unorthodox as his performances. Born in a world far removed from the glitz of show business, his early life was marked by a series of trials and tribulations. Hawkins's first forays into music were not immediate successes, but he persevered, driven by a unique vision for his art. His breakthrough came with the haunting and mesmerizing I Put a Spell on You, a song that not only showcased his incredible vocal range, but also his flair for the theatrical. The song's success was just the beginning. Hawkins soon became known for his electrifying stage presence, characterized by macabre and theatrical performances that captivated audiences. His influence on the genre of shock rock was profound, setting the stage for future artists who would embrace theatrics in music. Despite his growing popularity, Hawkins's life was not without challenges. He grappled with the music industry's constraints and strove to maintain his artistic integrity in an environment that often favored commercial appeal over artistic expression. Nevertheless, he forged a path that was uniquely his, refusing to conform to the expectations of others. In addition to his musical career, Hawkins was a savvy businessman. Recognizing the value of his most famous song, he established his own publishing company. This venture not only provided him with financial stability, but also gave him a measure of control over his artistic output, a rarity for artists of his time. Throughout this period, his personal life remained as colorful and unpredictable as his stage persona. His relationships and personal experiences would later significantly influence his music and performances. The singer's life was as dramatic off-stage as it was on. His numerous marriages, each unique in their dynamics, paint a picture of a man struggling to find a balance between his public persona and his private life. His first wife, a pivotal figure, represented a semblance of stability in his otherwise chaotic world. However, the marriage, like many that would follow, was fraught with challenges and ultimately ended in separation. Hawkins's relationships were often passionate and tumultuous, reflecting his intense personality. His marriages were characterized by passionate love affairs, fiery arguments, and, in some cases, heart-wrenching separations. Each wife and each relationship brought out different facets of his character, from the romantic to the troubled soul. In addition to his marital escapades, Hawkins's interactions with other women in his life were equally complex. His relationships with various girlfriends, including notable figures like Barbara, Lee Angel, and Pat Newborn, were as intense and tumultuous as his marriages. These relationships often intersected with his professional life, influencing his music and public image. His relationship with Shoutine, Pat Newborn, particularly, stood out for its intensity and the dramatic, and at times, violent turn it took. This incident was a reflection of the complex interplay between his personal demons and his public persona, a theme that recurred throughout his life. The impact of these relationships on Hawkins's career was significant. His personal life often spilled over into his public performances, influencing the themes and tones of his music. The drama of his relationships was mirrored in the raw emotion and intensity of his songs, making his music deeply personal and authentic. Despite his many relationships, the singer remained a solitary figure, often struggling with the dichotomy between his need for love and companionship and his fierce independence. This struggle was reflected in his music, where themes of love, loss, and loneliness was prevalent. As his career progressed, Hawkins' personal life continued to be a roller coaster of relationships and emotions. His ability to channel these experiences into his music was a testament to his artistry, turning his personal trials into a source of creative inspiration. The end of each relationship marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, both personally and professionally. With each marriage and each relationship, Hawkins evolved, both as a man and as an artist. His personal life, with all its complexities, was an integral part of his legend, contributing to the mystique that surrounded him. In sum, the marital saga of Screamin Jay Hawkins was a journey of passion, pain, and artistic expression. It was a reflection of a man who lived life on his own terms, unafraid to embrace his true self, both in love and in music. Hawkins, a figure synonymous with musical innovation and shock value on stage, led a personal life that was just as flamboyant and unpredictable. His relationships with women, notably Barbara, Lee Angel, and Pat Newborn, were a testament to this unpredictable nature, each marked by passion, drama, and sometimes danger. Lee Angel, a woman who crossed paths with Hawkins, shared a relationship that mirrored the roller coaster ride of his life. Their connection was ignited by a shared love for the dramatic and the chaotic. Angel, drawn into Hawkins' world, found herself both captivated and overwhelmed by his intense personality. Their relationship was a blend of fervor and volatility, with Hawkins often showering her with attention and affection, only to juxtapose it with his notorious infidelity. Angel recalls moments of profound intimacy intertwined with episodes of fiery confrontation, a pattern that seemed to define their long-term, tumultuous relationship. Hawkins' relationship with Pat Newborn, another significant figure in his life, was even more fraught with danger and intensity. An open relationship with Newborn, marked by shared romantic interests, nearly cost Hawkins his life. In a dramatic twist fueled by jealousy, Newborn, demanding exclusivity in their shared romantic endeavors, allegedly shot Hawkins in a fit of rage. This incident was a stark reminder of the perilous nature of his personal life, reflecting the extreme emotions that he both evoked and experienced. While much of the singer's romantic life was marked by such tempestuous relationships, his final marriage to Monique, a French woman of African descent, presented a different narrative. After moving to Europe in the 1990s, Hawkins found a semblance of stability with Monique. Their relationship, enduring until Hawkins's death in 2000, was a rare period of relative calm in an otherwise stormy romantic history. This marriage represented a departure from the chaos that had typified his earlier relationships, suggesting a maturation and perhaps a desire for a more peaceful companionship in his later years. Throughout his life, Hawkins's relationships with women were as complex and varied as his musical repertoire. Each relationship, whether marked by passion, drama, or tranquility, contributed to the mosaic of his personal life. These women, each in their own way, influenced not only his emotional world, but also his artistic expression. The intensity of his relationships often found its way into his music, adding a layer of authenticity and raw emotion to his performances. In the larger context of his life, these relationships were more than just romantic encounters. They were reflections of a man grappling with his own identity, both as a public figure and as a private individual. The women in Hawkins' life were mirrors to his soul, each revealing different facets of his complex personality. Screamin Jay Hawkins, a seminal figure in the world of rock and roll, was as much a pioneer in his public confrontations and theatrical performances as he was in his music. From his early years, Hawkins was determined to carve out his own path, frequently clashing with producers and other musicians due to his uncompromising nature. His stint with Fats Domino's band in 1954, for example, was short-lived due to his bold style and unique sartorial choices, which included wearing a leopard skin suit that ultimately led to his dismissal from the band. Hawkins's defiance was not just limited to his fashion. 1953, during a recording session with Tiny Grimes, he engaged in a heated altercation with the legendary music producer Ahmet Ertegun. When Ertegun suggested the singer tone down his performance, the bluesman's response was anything but subdued. The session ended disastrously, with Hawkins attempting to punch Ertegun and ultimately leaving the band. The release of his hit song, "I Put a Spell on You," marked a turning point in his career, casting him as a dangerous wild man in the eyes of critics and moral gatekeepers. Misinterpretations of the song's content led to it being banned from many radio stations. However, this controversy only fueled Hawkins's notoriety and led to an introduction to the mainstream audience via Alan Freed's Rock and Roll Review. Freed, recognizing the potential in Hawkins's unique style, encouraged him to embrace a horror movie vibe, even rising from a coffin on stage, which Hawkins reluctantly agreed to for additional pay. His performances were a spectacle of the bizarre and the macabre. Dressed in a black cape and playing the role of a witch doctor, he incorporated rubber snakes, skeletons, pyrotechnics, and a cigarette-smoking skull named Henry into his act. His shows, evoking images of voodoo and horror, were often picketed for being in poor taste, but this only added to his fame and mystique. Despite the criticism, his showmanship and unique performance style made him a legend in rock music, akin to the likes of Boris Karloff. Yet, behind the scenes, Hawkins battled with paranoia and alcoholism, particularly in the 1960s. He felt marginalized by the music industry, believing there was a concerted effort to keep his music off the airwaves, a perception fueled by racial discrimination in the industry. This disillusionment drove him to relocate to Honolulu for a decade, distancing himself from a world he felt wasn't ready to embrace his avant-garde style. The singer's early life was marked by a series of extraordinary experiences. Born Jalesi Jay Hawkins in Cleveland, Ohio, he was adopted by a Native American family from the Blackfoot tribe. A musical prodigy, Hawkins taught himself to play the piano as a toddler and could read music by the age of 6. His talents extended beyond music. As a teenager, he became a professional boxer, winning a Golden Gloves championship. These formative experiences laid the groundwork for the dynamic and multifaceted persona he would later develop as Screamin Jay Hawkins. The novelty and shock value of his performances, while peaking in the 1950s, continued to attract attention into the 1960s and beyond. Hawkins maintained a significant following in Europe and Asia, frequently performing for avant-garde crowds and military troops. His relocation to Hawaii marked a period of reflection and change, during which he battled and overcame his addictions. The 1980s saw a revival of "I Put a Spell on You," earning him substantial royalties and leading to collaborations with prominent artists like the Rolling Stones. Interestingly, he repurposed the coffin from his shows as a storage cabinet in his kitchen, a testament to the ghoulish reputation he had cultivated throughout his career. The 1970s marked a period of struggle and transformation for Screamin Jay Hawkins. During the 1960s, as mentioned earlier, Hawkins was mired in paranoia and alcohol abuse, feeling marginalized by the music industry's institutionalized racism. Convinced that there was a conspiracy to keep his music off the airwaves, he witnessed other artists find success with the covers of his hit, while he struggled to gain a foothold in the charts. This sense of injustice and frustration led him to relocate to Honolulu, where he spent a significant part of the decade. Despite these challenges, the 1970s also brought about crucial changes in Hawkins' life. He quit drinking in 1974, a significant turning point that allowed him to rediscover his abilities as a performer, proving to himself that he could deliver powerful performances of "I Put a Spell on You" while sober. This period also saw him collecting royalties from the numerous cover versions of his songs, providing him with a stable income and recognition for his work. In 1978, Hawkins made an appearance in the film biography of disc jockey Alan Freed, American Hot Wax. The following year, he collaborated with Rolling Stone Keith Richards at New York's Blue Rock Studio, a partnership that proved successful and led to Hawkins opening for the Rolling Stones at Madison Square Garden in 1980. The 1980s marked a resurgence in interest in Hawkins' work. Acclaimed indie filmmaker Jim Jarmusch, a lifelong fan, used "I Put a Spell on You" in his 1984 film Stranger Than Paradise. This inclusion brought Hawkins's talent to a wider audience and reignited his touring career in the United States. His unique style and profound impact on rock music began to receive the recognition it deserved, and he started touring regularly in the U.S., captivating audiences with his mesmerizing performances. Hawkins' career continued to flourish in the early 1990s. In 1990, he appeared in Jarmusch's film Mystery Train as a sardonic night manager, a role that was hailed as wonderfully subdued by critics. The following year, he featured in the film A Rage in Harlem, performing "I Put a Spell on You," among other tunes. Hawkins also found immense popularity in Japan, where he made commercials for Sony and continued to earn substantial royalties from the remakes of his songs. He maintained a regular touring schedule, performing in Japan, Europe, and the U.S., showcasing his enduring appeal and versatility as an artist. Throughout these decades, the singer's journey was marked by ups and downs, but his resilience, creativity, and unique persona saw him through the challenges. From battling addictions and industry discrimination to re-establishing himself as a revered figure in rock music, Hawkins's story in the 1970s and 1980s is one of triumph over adversity, of an artist rediscovering his voice and reclaiming his place in the annals of music history. In the end, Hawkins left behind a legacy that was not just confined to his music. His personal life, characterized by tumultuous relationships and a vast progeny, became a tale of its own, overshadowing even his artistic achievements. A notorious ladies' man, Hawkins's love life mirrored the wild and unhinged nature of his performances. Married 6 times, he indulged in numerous romantic dalliances and extramarital affairs throughout his career. His relationships often veered into the realm of the dramatic and dangerous. His first wife, Anna May, whom he never formally divorced, was only the beginning of a long series of complicated relationships. This pattern of intense and often volatile relationships continued throughout his life. For instance, his relationship with singer Shouten Pat Newborn almost proved fatal when a jealous Newborn allegedly shot him over a romantic dispute. Hawkins' last marriage was to Monique, a French woman of African descent, with whom he remained until he died in 2000. This period of his life, spent in France, saw him revered and celebrated, particularly in Europe. Despite his advancing years, Hawkins maintained a robust presence, performing regularly in Paris. This was a stark contrast to his earlier lamentations about being typecast in his career. As he aged, he seemed to embrace his role as rock's original wild man, finding solace in the reactions he could elicit from audiences with his theatrical presence. The most astonishing aspect of Hawkins's personal life was undoubtedly his progeny. He claimed to have fathered between 57 to 75 children, a testament to his life spent on the road and his numerous relationships. This aspect of his life became a significant focus after his death, with efforts spearheaded by his biographer Marital to connect these children. Through the website jacekids.com, Nagolian aimed to trace Hawkins's offspring, eventually identifying 33 of them, some of whom met at a reunion in 2001. This endeavor not only highlighted his extensive paternity, but also painted a picture of a man whose personal life was as sprawling and complex as his musical legacy. Interestingly, There's an air of melancholy that surrounds Hawkins's relationships with his children. While he was a father to many, the details of his interactions and relationships with his numerous offspring remain largely unexplored. His passing in 2000 brought to light the sheer extent of his paternal reach, leading to a posthumous effort to bring together a family that was vast and diverse. Hawkins's life, marked by his numerous relationships, marriages, and children, paints a picture of a man who was as complicated personally as he was professionally. While his musical legacy is well documented and celebrated, his personal life offers a glimpse into the man behind the theatrical facade. The efforts to connect his many children after his death serve as a testament to the complex web of relationships he left behind, each thread telling a story of a life lived with as much intensity off stage as on. As Hawkins's story continues, we see a man who, despite his larger-than-life persona, grapples with the same complexities and challenges that define the human experience. His legacy, therefore, is not just one of musical innovation and theatrical flair, but also of a life lived with unabashed boldness and an undeniable impact on those he encountered, both personally and professionally. In reflecting on the life of Hawkins, one can't help but be captivated by the vivid tapestry of experiences that defined him. From his tumultuous relationships to the multitude of descendants he left behind, Hawkins's life story is a testament to the enduring allure of a man who was never afraid to live on his own terms, leaving behind a legacy that is as enigmatic as it is fascinating. The echoes of Hawkins's influence are still felt today, not just in the music and artists he inspired, but also in the broader cultural landscape. His blend of horror and music, his theatricality, and his unapologetic embrace of his unique style continue to resonate with artists and audiences alike. His journey reminds us of the enduring allure of art that challenges norms, that dares to push boundaries and explore the uncharted territories of creativity and expression. Reflecting on the life of Screamin Jay Hawkins, we are reminded of the transformative power of art and the enduring nature of a legacy that transcends time and genre. His story, a blend of triumphs and tribulations, invites us to look beyond the surface, to explore the depths of human experience, and appreciate the richness of a life lived boldly and unapologetically. Ultimately, the singer's narrative is not just about the music he created or the performances he gave. It's about the impact he had on the world, the lives he touched, and the spell he cast that continues to enchant and inspire. His story is a reminder that the true measure of a legacy lies not just in the art one creates, but in the hearts and minds one captivates and the lives one influences. Hawkins may have left the stage, but his spell remains as potent and mesmerizing as ever, a lasting tribute to the man who was, in every sense, a true original. And that's it from us today until next time. Thank you for watching.